What up guys, it's K13 and welcome back to my channel. So in this video today, I'm going to be educating you all a little bit about asexuality. Talking about asexuality is a topic that I've been planning to do anyway for my videos for a while. I was gonna get to it eventually by reacting to some videos on asexuality, but this week is Asexual Awareness Week. Well, today, Saturday the 30th, is the last day of it, so we're coming at an end, but this past week has been Asexuality Awareness Week. And I did a poll on Instagram to see what you guys wanted to see, if you guys wanted to see me reacting to videos on asexuality and kind of like talking about my experience versus the videos, or if you guys wanted like a general education type of video. And so you guys voted for, oh well, both, but the majority voted for general education, which I secretly kind of wanted to win because I figured if I'm gonna like do a first video on my channel about asexuality, then making a general education makes the most sense. And then so in the future I'll do a couple of videos where I do react to videos and kind of like relate my experience or my opinions with them. Yeah, so here we go. So with this video I'm just going to be like describing asexuality, giving you all the definition, talk a little bit about the spectrum of asexuality and a couple of the umbrella terms, and what's the difference between asexuality and celibacy, how it fits in the LGBT community and in society, and also how you might be able to tell if you're asexual or not, if you're one of those people out there that is questioning if you are asexual, like I used to question. And also in the description I will put as many sources as I can. That way for anybody that wants to do any more research on asexuality or is curious about something from a certain source that I went over, then you can check them out. So what I'm doing is I'm reading from a bunch of screenshots that I have, because I have my own like personal album in my photos for just everything asexuality and or something like asexuality related. So I have a bunch of my screenshots and then I'm gonna like put them over here and I'll tell you where I got the sources from. What is asexuality? So asexuality, baseline, simplified, is someone who does not experience sexual attraction. It's that simple. It really is. But when you're questioning, a lot of the times it still doesn't feel that simple. But anyway, that's what asexuality is. So for an overview, asexuality is a part of the LGBT community. If you go down like, you know, the line of letters, LGBTQIA, the A is asexual. I believe it's also for agender and maybe aromantic, but I think mainly it is for asexual. The term asexual gets shortened to ace a lot, so whenever you talk about people that call themselves ace or just like describe the term ace, it's just the short nickname for it. So this piece of information I wouldn't take too seriously because I don't think it's that accurate anymore, but it has been mainly taught that like around 1% or more of the world population is asexual. I've heard that it's believed that there's more than 1% of people that are asexual. I think now that there's more research being done about it, that it's believed there's more, and just as the understanding of it progresses, I think people, like more and more people are coming out as asexual. So, oh, and this is from the Instagram page, The World of Gay, and it's just an LGBT community page on Instagram. So, yes, that's where I'm getting this information from. So something that helps you to understand asexuality is to understand the idea of attraction. Some asexual people experience romantic or aesthetic attraction, and just like any other form of attraction, this can be straight, gay, bi, lesbian, or any other orientation. Other asexual people who have no romantic attraction are often referred to as aromantic. So I won't talk too much about aromanticism, but basically it is like parallel to asexuality. It's like, you know, asexuality, no sexual attraction, aromanticism, no romantic attraction. And some people might identify as both, or they might identify as one or the other. So like it said, like an asexual person can identify as like any romantic attraction. When I first came out as asexual, I still had this idea of wanting to get married and having crushes on guys, and so I basically came out as heteromantic asexual. So like I never had any desire to be sexual with a guy, but like I still wanted to date guys. And within this last year, I dated a guy. It was great, he was great, but I was also like missing being single and being independent and deciding that dating might not be something I want. I kind of had this whole mindset that like, alright, I got the experience, that's out of the way, which is something that is hard to like talk about and say publicly, because the guy I was dating, like we're not really on talking terms right now, but I still consider him a friend. He was great, like there was nothing wrong. It was just more stuff with me. So I personally am identifying as aromantic right now because I'm not in a place where I want to get married, and it's weird just being at a Christian school where everybody's getting married. But yeah, so that's how I identify. But like, yeah, if you can have no sexual attraction to people, but you can still have a romantic attraction towards any people. So another thing to understand is relationships. So just like anyone else, asexuals still have emotional needs and may desire romantic relationships, while many others may be satisfied by close friendships. So kind of like what I just said, at first I had this idea that I did have a feeling, the urge to be in a romantic relationship, to like get out there. I think a lot of it was just like the lack of experience, because I haven't really dated at all growing up. I had almost a whole year of experience. I did date a few years ago when I was 19 for a couple of months. That didn't end well, but but yeah, like I said, today I'm more just satisfied with all my friends, being really, really close with my friends, and just kind of like living for myself and worrying about myself, and just kind of like being with my family. That's kind of what I value right now. So another thing to understand is that asexuality is a spectrum. Not every single person that is asexual is 100% no. I think I have two little sources I'm going to use to kind of explain the spectrum. So I'm going to kind of repeat myself a couple times in this video, just because sometimes things are defined a little differently, and like I think if you reading or hearing something multiple times but then like worded differently, I think it might be able to like help understand a little better. At least for me, that's how it works sometimes. So this says asexuals are people who don't experience sexual attraction but may experience other forms of attraction, like romantic attraction. Again, is usually the common. Those two are always like the common side by sides. Aromantic, I don't think aromantic here really should be said that's on the spectrum, because I think talking about romantic attraction is separate from sexual attraction, and so like, and aromanticism itself can also be a spectrum, so like I don't think it really should fit on here, but like for the sake of just kind of covering bases, I'll read it anyway, and we already started talking about it. Aromantics who don't experience romantic attraction, but they can experience sexual attraction. Not all of them do, but aromantic asexuals, again, like that's what I am, are people who don't experience both romantic or sexual attraction. And so here's where it gets a little confusing to me. So I'm not going to go too deep into explaining it, but the two other common umbrella terms for asexuality is gray asexual and demisexual. So gray asexual people are people who experience sexual attraction infrequently or conditionally. And demisexuals experience sexual attraction only after forming a close bond with someone. So a gray asexual might feel attraction towards a certain person, but it might be a really weak feeling attraction. So it's like they feel that sexual attraction, but it's not something that they like fantasize or desire to act upon with that person. Or they might feel the attraction like only once or twice a year, versus like allosexual people feeling it multiple times a year towards multiple people or towards certain people. And just because I just mentioned it, allosexuality is basically the opposite of asexual. Kind of like how for people that identify as the gender the gender or the sex they're born with, they're called cisgender. You know, for people that basically are not non-binary or transgender, you're like, I myself am a cisgendered woman because I was born a woman and I feel like a woman. I identify as a woman, so I am cisgendered. So that's how it is with allo and asexual. So basically, anybody that feels sexual attraction towards any gender is an allosexual. If you're not asexual, then that's your name. That's what you are. You're an allosexual. So here's another picture I have describing the asexual spectrum. This is an Instagram page that my own therapist recommended for me to look at. So I believe my therapist, so I believe this. They did spell spectrum wrong in the picture. They have asexual spectrum, but anyway, so this one says asexuality, like any identity, is complex. There are numerous asexual identities within the asexuality, including asexual, which says no sexual attraction is experienced at all. It's used as an umbrella term and used as a separate identity. Demisexual may experience sexual attraction, but only once a deep emotional bond occurs. And gray sexual feels weak sexual attraction and or attraction so rarely there's no desire to act on it. So that's basically, I explained it mainly from this rather than the first explanation for it. But yeah, so that's a brief overall of the asexuality spectrum. So what are some common misconceptions that people have for asexual people, or even some misconceptions that asexual people have for themselves? So one of the beliefs is that they never have sex or they don't enjoy sex at all. This isn't always necessarily true for everybody. Having sex, again, it's a choice, and being asexual is not a choice. A lot of asexual people might still have sex. I'm on a couple asexuality community pages on Facebook, and so I see people all the time telling about their experiences. I saw a girl talk about how I think she was like a stripper or something. She's a stripper, but she's still asexual. Some people that are asexual might like having sex. They might be in a relationship, and they do enjoy having sex with their partner, but they don't look at their partner and feel that sexual attraction. They don't see the person and have that desire. It's just when they are doing it, they enjoy it. And some people may not enjoy it at all or that much, but they still might have something worked out with their partner so that they'll have sex to, you know, make their partner happy. It just depends on, you know, people are people, everybody's different. Sexual orientation or not, we're all different. Everybody's experience and their feelings is a little different. But that doesn't make your asexuality any less valid. Literally, as long as you're like not attracted to that person in that way, then you're probably like, yeah, you can still be asexual. So a second misconception is somebody saying, oh, it's just phase, or oh, they're just confused. I haven't gotten like any hate from coming out as asexual or questioning it, but like, yeah. And I was never directly told like, oh, you're confused, but I think like with my mom and stuff, it was just like questioning why I felt this way. And I think there was a lot of questioning about like stuff that had to do with like my background and everything, like family history and just a couple, like all these different elements. It was a little hard to figure out. So if somebody comes to you and says that they think they're asexual, don't tell them it's a phase, or don't tell them they're confused. And even if they are confused about how they are feeling, that doesn't mean like how or what they think they feel is like any less valid. Third is something that was really difficult for me trying to figure it out is, isn't that the same as celibacy? No, it's not. And there are a couple other like misconceptions, but like again, I'm just going off what I have here. And the last one, which I've never heard anyone actually like talk about this, at least to me, but if this ever happens to you, I'm so sorry, but like the belief that the belief that asexuals are broken or mentally ill. And the idea, and like I think that's something that kind of, at least the mentally ill part, I think that's really common. A lot of people that are like not really supportive of the LGBT community pretty much think that about everyone that is LGBT. We are not broken. You're not if you think you are or are and you struggle with that idea, you're not broken. You are you, and you are awesome. Yeah, I mean, if you are mentally ill, it's not because of asexuality, and you're not asexual because of your mental illness. A lot of people are mentally ill. It has nothing to do with their sexuality. The two do not correlate. So if people are telling you that, then, you know, screw them. But you probably don't want to because you're asexual. And lastly, why is any of this important to know? Ace identities are often overlooked or misunderstood, and many aces still grow up not realizing that asexuality is an option. Like I said, this wasn't something I ever knew about until I learned about it. Again, I was like 19 or 20. Maybe 17, like I really can't remember the first time I heard about it, but I'm pretty sure I was like 19 or 20 when I like actually heard about it and learned the definition and had that like first thought, like I could be this. But for the most part, I think most people by their preteens and their teens know what they feel, they know what they are. But there are people out there that are confused because they don't know what they're feeling. And this is why stuff like learning about LGBT is important, because there are a lot of us out there that feel so out of place. And when you learn about things and it clicks in your head, it helps you to understand yourself better, and that's a good thing. Like I said before, the more you know. These issues are largely tied to erasure. Asexuality is largely absent from the public consciousness, as seen by the lack of academic resources and media representation. So for example, like obviously you probably have never heard about asexuality in school. Unless you like take a gender studies class or something along that line in college, you probably haven't heard about it in a school. And in the media, like it just said, it's true, there's not a lot of representation of asexual people, and most people that are asexual in shows, it's either like actually not directly mentioned, like it's something it's hinted at, and it's usually not taken seriously. I know I've heard like examples of characters, and it's usually characters from shows I've never seen or movies I've never seen, so like I can't think of like specific examples. Like it's not taken seriously, it's people trying to fix them. So that's really sad. And erasure, biggest example, and this is what got me before I even came out as asexual, because I still was questioning it, is Jughead. Jughead Jones from the Archie comic books. Jughead Jones from the Archie comic books is one of the main characters. He's the fun, goofy guy. He loves food. Food is basically all he cares about. He cares about food and hanging out with his buddy Archie in the comic books. And the Archie comic books, are special to me. They're something that I've grown up with. I read a lot of the older versions of Archie. I'm not as familiar with the modern ones today. But yeah, I grew up reading the Archie comic books, and Jughead is an asexual and aromantic character. I don't know, and I doubt that he was originally made like as a specific like asexual character, but like that's just, he's always been not interested in romance. And I think I heard somewhere that it was mentioned, like I think another character called him asexual or aromantic or something like that. It was basically confirmed that he is asexual and I think in aromantic. So you look at that, and what's the erasure side? Well, if you know about the show Riverdale on CW, one, that show is ridiculous anyway because they completely changed everything about Archie. Like, it really confuses me why they like made this show. Basically, literally the worst thing they did was make Jughead straight. They made him romantically involved with Betty. He's romantically involved with Betty. If something changes, I don't know because I'm not keeping up with the show, but as far as I'm concerned, he's romantically involved with Betty. They start dating in season 1, and they have sex. So like, when I saw this, watching the show, it really broke me. It hurt my heart, even though I wasn't 100% sure yet. I was mostly sure that I'm asexual. So it really hurt me to see that, like, Jughead, one of the things that made him so great in the comics, being not interested at all compared to like all his friends that were always together, always trying to date each other. Yeah, just the way, and it just shows to me that Hollywood is not that knowledgeable about LGBT, and they're not as concerned about spreading awareness and representing people as they are about just having sex on their shows, because that's what pleases teenagers, that's what teens like, that's what young adults like. A lot of people like sex. Sex is great, I guess. And so, and it's easy to, I guess, have people like shows if there's a lot of romance. I don't know. It's not represented in the media a lot. It's erased a lot. It's not taken seriously. So that's why it's really frustrating. And again, it's harmful to those of us that are asexual. So anyway, bringing awareness to asexuality can go a long way to help solve many of these issues that the asexual community faces. And it can be really confusing when you're in that questioning stage. So one of my favorite accounts that I follow on Instagram with asexuality is this account called Sally Vinter. And they're an asexual person that does asexual comics, and they're really cute comics. And I usually screenshot a lot of the ones that relate to me, that I relate to the most. So for this one explains how it can be really confusing to somebody that doesn't know about asexuality. Here's the comic. So in the first slide, it has her, you know, seeing a naked guy, and it says, "Dicks trigger sex repulsion in me, so I must be a lesbian, right?" And then in the next slide, she's looking at a woman singing, "But I don't feel sexually attracted to women either. But I know I've had crushes on individuals no matter what their gender was. What am I? Life would have been so much easier if someone had told me asexuality existed when I was younger." This comic is me 100%, because I do have crushes. I've always had crushes. Ever since I was a kid, I crushed a lot on male celebrities. But I also thought women were attracted. I've never had like a crush on a woman, but I still always just admired how pretty they were. The Disney princesses, a lot of like I grew up, again, like I said, reading comic books, so a lot of, and you know, they draw women, very unrealistic, but they look good in the comic books, not gonna lie, a lot of them do. And yeah, as a kid, like, I would notice. It just depends on the media, depends, or the people in real life. So there's like tons and tons of different attractive feelings that anyone can feel, but I'm gonna use this picture to read, like, I guess, like, you could say the main 5, they're like probably the most common types of attraction, so I'll read them to you. Sexual attraction, a desire for contact involving genitals, as in sex with a specific person. Sensual attraction, a desire for physical contact, as in hugs, kisses, etc., with a specific person. Romantic attraction, a desire to have what is considered a romantic relationship with a specific person. And platonic attraction is a desire to have a platonic relationship with a specific person. And then aesthetic attraction, which is getting pleasure from the appearance of a specific person, as in getting pleasure from watching a beautiful scenery. Sexual attraction, obviously, you see the person, they look good to you, and you have the urge or the desire to have sex with them. I've never felt this in my life, and if I do, it'll be really weird. Sensual attraction, so you see that person and you want to do something intimate with them, but not really like have sex. I think it's not listed in here, but I think kissing goes under that. Kissing is something else I've never been into. Never kissed before in my life. Don't want to. But it talks about, like, oh, it does say kisses right there. Hugs, kisses. I like cuddling. It just depends on, like, the people and the situation and, like, how comfortable I am. And hand holding. I love hand holding. And when I was with my boyfriend, I really liked hand holding with him. And even on our first date, even though I just met him for the first time, I had this desire to hold hands with him. So that's sensual attraction. Platonic attraction is basically strong, friendly desire. So, like, you want to be friends with that person. Like, you see them, they're really cool, and you want to be really close to them, have a really strong, emotional, friendly bond. So aesthetic attraction is towards people, is when you see a person and you like to look at them, you can't stop looking at them, but it's not in that sexual feely way. Like, you like to look at them. It's kind of like I don't know. It's a little hard to describe. For me, one of the biggest things that I am aesthetically attracted to is the moon. I freak out every time I see the moon. Every time I'm with my friends and the moon's out, and especially when it's really big and, like, yellow or, like, a cool color, I'm just like, look at that moon, and, like, I freak out and I have to stare at it. It's, like, so pretty, and to me, it's really breathtaking, and I love it so much. So it's kind of like that with people. So for me, I can be, like, I'm really aesthetically attracted. Like, when I feel aesthetic attraction to guys, sometimes I crush on them. Like, my very first crush was Orlando Bloom when I saw him as Legolas in Lord of the Rings when I was 8 years old. And again, like, as a little kid, you don't understand a lot of things about attraction. So, like, I just thought I was romantically attracted. I was just this little kid, and I was like, I want to date him. But I now know that I'm just aesthetically attracted to him. And when I'm aesthetically attracted to a guy or a girl, like, I just want to look at them. I like to look at, you know, just everything, their clothes. And, like, so I might feel aesthetically attracted to a person. They usually have a specific body type. A lot of the times, like, their hair and their clothes. There's usually a specific style of clothing that adds to that aesthetic attraction. Certain body movements and, like, facial expressions attract me, and I can be really attracted to, like, body language. I usually don't want to have sex with anybody, I don't want to date anybody, I either want to like befriend them or I want to be them. And most of the time I want to be them. Like I admire them so much that I want to be a lot like them. So here's a comic that I relate to that gives an example of aesthetic attraction. So in the first box it has a shirtless guy walking, he's like carrying some boxes or whatever, and it has the main character you know, going like she's just observing, like making a noise as she like looks at the sky, and her friend's like, whoa, what? And she's like, what? And then her friend goes, I've never heard you do that before, are you attracted to him? And she's just like, he has a nice back? And then she's like, no. Do you want to bone him? She's like, no. And then she explains she appreciates his aesthetic beauty, like admiring a painting or a statue. You never really want to bone that stuff either. Yeah, that's like the short version of what I just explained. Hopefully that is a little helpful in understanding aesthetic attraction. Okay, so this has been my best attempt at making a video educating everybody about asexuality. So hopefully if you're somebody that is questioning if you're asexual or not, hopefully this was helpful. Or if you know somebody that is asexual or thinks they're asexual, hopefully for anybody wanting to learn about it, this was a helpful video. So again, like in the description, I'm gonna put the sources that I used for these Instagram pages, and I'm also going to put in the Asexual Visibility and Education Network, the AVEN website, which is, I believe this is the first website that talks about asexuality. So if you want more information about it, I'm putting the link to that in the description below. It's probably one of the best reliable sources to use if you want to learn about asexuality. And lastly, before I end this video, if you are not asexual but you know somebody or you just want to be supportive in any way, here are some tips to be an ally, to be a good friend, or just to be helpful and supportive in any way. First off, educate yourself on ace identities. So if you're like watching this video in order to do that, good job, you got a step done. Respect their relationships. Call out ace erasure, ace phobia wherever you see it. Educate others. Don't assume everyone needs sex or romance to be happy. Don't ask intrusive questions about someone's sex life. Celebrate, affirm their identity. Provide support and validation. And if somebody comes out to you as ace, believe them. And especially don't tell them, oh, maybe you just haven't met the right person, because that's what I've been told before, and it's really annoying. I've been told that before. It's not something that I was told out of malice or just like bad intentions. It was just the people that told me that. They had no understanding of asexuality. They never heard of it. So in their head it was just like, oh, this person hasn't met the right person to make them feel this way. But for everybody, that's not always the case. Some of us are asexual and there is no right person to make us feel that way. So those are some tips for being supportive to people of the asexual community. Okay, so this has been my first education video on asexuality. I hope this was helpful to anybody wanting to learn about it. If you're questioning, if you have any questions, you can ask me in the comments, or if you want to reach out to me on social media, you can message me on Instagram, or if you know me personally and you're friends with me on Facebook, you can message me on Facebook or whatever. But yeah, so you can reach out or look up the other sources that I'll put in the description. And if you are questioning asexuality, I hope that you figure it out. And just for all of you out there that don't feel valid, you are valid no matter what. That's my little tidbit of supportive advice. Alright guys, I hope you all have a good day. I want to thank you all so much for watching my videos and giving me any support. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share my channel, help me reach 1,000 subscribers, and also follow me on all my social medias, and I'll see you all in the next video, and I love you all. Have a good day. Bye.